So good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Ontario Council of University Libraries Accessibility Symposium. My name is Carli Agostino, and I'm one of the co-moderators of OCUL's Accessibility Community. You can access live captions at bit.ly/OCUL_cart. We've also linked to that on the slide. And that link will also be put into the chat. ASL interpretation is also available. It'll be at the bottom of your Zoom screen. There will be an interpretation icon, which is shaped like a globe in the meeting controls, where you can select to access language options, and then you can choose ASL as your language. So just another reminder that this session is recorded, and we'll go over some more of the housekeeping details again shortly, but we have a very full agenda, so we're going to get started. So before we begin, we wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the lands that we occupy and the responsibilities that we carry in doing so. So many of us are joining today from across Turtle Island and beyond. I live and work on the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe in what is now called Ottawa. And we invite you to also reflect on the lands that you are joining from and the histories and Indigenous communities connected to those lands. The histories of Indigenous and disabled communities are distinct, but their struggles are often share common ground. Colonialism and ableism have both worked to exclude, devalue, and silence. And in striving for accessibility, we also take up the work of decolonization, challenging the systems that have long decided who is heard, who is included, and whose ways of knowing are respected. So as we strive to build more equitable spaces for disabled communities, we must also actively make room for Indigenous voices, leadership, and ways of knowing within our libraries, our services, and our institutions. June is also Indigenous History Month, an opportunity to recognize and honor the enduring contributions of First Nations and Métis people. We posted a link in the chat where you can learn more about the Indigenous lands that you are on, and we encourage you to begin or deepen your learning. So anyone who's planned a conference knows that it takes a village, and this symposium was organized through OCUL's Accessibility Community, which is co-chaired by myself, Megan McMeekin from the University of Ottawa, Mark Weiler from Laurier University, and our planning committee consisted of Eva Liu from Queen's University, Michael Clark from the University of Waterloo, as well as Sonia Panageddon from Toronto Metropolitan University. So without this group's work, this symposium would not be possible. On the OCUL side, both Annika and Katrina have been absolutely integral in supporting the planning committee through the last few months. And we'd also like to thank the OCUL directors for their support and for funding this important event through the New Initiatives Fund, which provided us with the resources to make this symposium as accessible as possible. So a bit of background, this symposium was first hosted by OCUL's Accessibility Community back in 2019. This was an in-person event that was modified to be hybrid, and it was hosted at York University. So this was a one-day event that had a student panel, a number of excellent presentations, which you can still find on York Space and YouTube for viewing. And I've listed the symposium's planning committee on the slide, and this group really laid the foundation for what we have tried to recreate this week. So when the moderators, so myself, Mark, and Megan, began thinking about where we wanted to invest the community's time back in 2024, we decided that it would be timely to host another symposium, especially given that 2025 was meant to mark the compliance milestone for achieving AODA. But we know that much work remains to be done, and this symposium is really meant to provide us with a space to think about how our work in libraries can become more inclusive and accessible for the future. And we sincerely hope that the presentations and conversations that you engage with here will lasting collaborations and lead to concrete actions long after today. So I will turn it over to Megan now for some welcome and housekeeping announcements.
Thanks, Carli. Welcome, everyone. My name is Megan McMeekin, and I am one of the co-moderators of the OCUL Accessibility Community and one of the Accessibility Symposium Planning Committee members. So I'm going to go over a few announcements before we begin with the programming for today. So all sessions over the 3 days will be recorded and posted to the OCUL YouTube page following this symposium and once the captions have been edited. This Zoom link will be the same one used for all 3 days, and a reminder that the maximum participants is set to 500 at any given time. As Carly mentioned, live captioning through CART is available, so you can turn on captioning at the bottom of the screen. You can also access the live captions via a separate platform, and we will add the bit.ly link into the chat as well, and I will also repeat it and show it on the next screen. And we'll also add links into the chat as we state them. ASL interpretation is also available at the bottom of the Zoom screen. There's an interpretation icon in the meeting controls to access ASL. For JAWS users, Alt plus Windows plus S turns on or off the Zoom notifications, including chats. We will verbally announce if we add links to the chat. Control plus 1 will repeat the last announcement, Control plus 2 the second last, and so on. Please use the Q&A feature to ask the presenters questions during the Q&A period only, so not in the chat, please. We will read out all the questions posted here that we answered live. We do have a full schedule, so we may not be able to answer all questions live, but questions that cannot be answered live may be answered after the presentations by the presenter, so look out for answers within the Q&A box. You can use the chat to talk with other attendees today. You'll have to change the setting to everyone, as the default is set to message hosts and panelists. And we ask everyone to please be kind, considerate, and respectful of everyone presenting and attending over the next 3 days. And finally, for questions or concerns for the planning committee, you can email us. Our email address is accessibilitysymposium2025@gmail.com, and we will also add that into the chat. So once again, we have 2 QR codes. The top QR code is to access the live captions through a separate window, and the bit.ly is so bit.ly/, all uppercase letters, CART, CART _ OCUL, OCUL. So that's bit.ly/ CART _ OCUL. And we also have a feedback form that you can complete at the end of the symposium. And the link is bit.ly/ A11Y _ feedback, all in lowercase. And we will also add that into the chat. So next, I'd like to introduce Mark Robertson, who is the OCUL Chair and Dean of Libraries at Toronto Metropolitan University, who will give us a few opening remarks before our keynote.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the OCUL Accessibility Symposium. My name is Mark Robertson. I'm Chair of OCUL and as well the Dean of Libraries at Toronto Metropolitan University. And I'm really delighted to welcome you all. I see quite a number of participants. It's really exciting. I know you'll be ready to engage in what promises to be a vital and very thought-provoking program over the next 3 mornings. The symposium comes at a critical juncture. 2025 marks a significant milestone for accessibility in Ontario. This year sees key requirements of the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, or AODA, coming into full effect. This legislative framework provides a critical foundation for our work, and this week's symposium offers a timely opportunity to reflect on our progress, share best practices, and strategize for the future. Like most milestones, this represents not the end of the journey, but an opportunity to reflect on the path ahead. We know the work we do in this area is not just about compliance. It's about fostering inclusive environments where every individual has equitable access to information, resources, and services. It's about dismantling barriers and championing an anti-ableist approach in all that we do. The Ontario Council of University Libraries is deeply committed to this work. We recognize that accessibility is an ongoing journey, one that requires continuous learning, collaboration, and a willingness to challenge the status quo. I wish you all a wonderful program, lots of sharing of ideas, and rich discussions over the next 3 days. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you very much, Mark.